let's start the Dhandasana, which is our base position or a starting position. So all the sitting asanas gonna be start from this Prarambhik Sthiti or base position. So let's see the Dandasana. First of all, we stretch our legs out in front of us, feet keeping together. And before to adjust the feet, just pull the flesh out in this position, make your sit bone nicely grounded, and place the hands next to your buttocks in this position. So both legs extended in front of you, feet parallel to each other, and make sure we have the equal extension from our inner side of the feet as well as the back of the legs. So in this position, the heels, the heel bone nicely extended forward, and then the metatarsal nicely spread and toes pointing upward, soften like as they are growing upward. So especially the metatarsals and then heel bone has to be nicely active and extended, and as well as the inner side of the legs has to be nicely extended, not the relaxing the legs in this position. We have the little internal rotation in this position, the calf nicely separate and they are resting nicely on the ground. And kneecap lock in this position, we keep the kneecap lock and pulling the kneecap a little up to the quads muscles here. So the knees goes back to the back of the knees, so they're fixing like backward and back of the knees nicely spreading, making the space from the back of the knees in this area has to be nicely spread, very wide space here in this position. So keeping the thighs, knees and the shin bone directly facing upward like they are parallel in this position, and the calf nicely broaden, the back of the calf nicely spread out from the inner calf to the outer calf, strongly pressing down, kneecap lock and knees pulling up to the quads muscles. So from the quads to the groin region has to be nicely length and fully activated, and then the root of the thigh, the top of the thigh, strongly pressing down to the shin. The femur bone is strongly pulling back and pressing down to the strongly on the ground. So now we come a little bit up. Make sure that we are sitting nicely on the sitting bone, not really tilting our pelvic like backward, the posterior tilt. We'll try to pressing the sitting bone and make a little length on the spine from the base, from the tailbone region to the all the way to the top of the head. So extend the spine from the all the posterior back nicely longer, but as well as instead to working on the hip, we back posterior spine will work on the anterior spine, which will make a sharp length from our anterior body. So pressing the root of the thigh strongly in this position and lifting from the anterior body nicely, the stomach nicely, the abdominal region nicely expand in this position, not collapsing here. So nicely maintain the lift from the front of the body, chest lifted up, and then moving the shoulder a little back and broaden the clavicle region here. So maintaining the expansion from the anterior body in this position, raising from the sides of the body, especially from the floating ribs, it moves up away from the groin, from the waistline to the all the way lifting up from the sides of the body, nice length, chest rising up and moving the shoulder back and down this position. So maintain that nice expansion in the chest region and as well as extension in your abdominal region. So in order to open the chest in this position, we'll try to fixing the back ribs nicely into the body here, and a shoulder pulling backward here, and here we maintain the naturally as we work on the extension of the spine. First action what we do to just pull the spine up. So just to maintain the extension, I want to work in the all the three corner as well. So left side, right side, and the front side. So lifting from the all the three corners high, so the back gonna be longer and stable in this position. So shoulders moving backward here, neck straight in this position. Just keep the chin parallel to the floor and look in front of in this position, neck longer. So try to pressing using the hands as a guide to just lifting the spine high in this position and maintain that extension in the chest. But while fixing, while readjusting your upper body, don't lose the tension from the lower part of the body. Make sure the legs are nicely firm, pressing down, thighs pressing down and rolling a little inward in this position, and sitting bone nicely on the ground, and abdominal length, stretching the abdominal region, chest up and shoulder back. So in Dhandasana, you're keeping the whole body active in this position from the feet to the top of the head and your hands resting on the sides of the body. For example, if it's also required a little flexibility on the hamstring. If somebody have the stiffness on the hamstring, it becomes challenging for them, or it gives us like back edge, cannot sit for the prolonged time, or start to having that more tension on the lower region. So in this case, what we can do, the practitioner should use a little height underneath the sitting bone. For example, we can using the blanket, we can using some height as bolster or cushion according the need. So we're going to use the bolster, which will really help us to get the little length on the spine, and as well as will help us to reduce the tension from the lower spine. So we'll fold the blanket in this position. So as we fold the blanket, but make sure as you're folding the blanket, the edges has to be really sharp, and then soft edge we're gonna use towards our sitting bone. So I fold the blanket a really nice height underneath the sitting bone. So I gave the blanket for them. Those are having really stiffness on the thigh, and those are having the back issues. So I'll give the blanket. So could you please sit on the top of the blanket? Yes, like that. Yeah, pull the flesh a little bit backward in this position, which will allow to a little anterior tilt in this position. Again, you place the hand sides of the body. So by using the blanket, but a little bit more forward on the edge a little bit, yeah, like that, which will really help us to make that anterior tilt and allowing our spine to expand from the sacrum region. Otherwise, we just start to relaxing our sacrum region here. So here, as we use the cushion, the blanket underneath the sitting bone, which will really beneficial for us to relaxing our lower region, not to stressing the lower spine. But again, the same action, you're keeping the shoulder up, chest lifted up, working on the front part of the body and neck longer. Dhandasana. This is a starting position here. All the starting asanas, sitting position will perform from this position. So Dhandasana, you're maintaining the back like a stick, like strong and stable in this position without hunching, without rounding your back here. So if somebody get the roundness on the back, so we use already blanket, it will really help them to avoid that roundness on the back. If somebody have the stiffness on the hamstring or the lower back, or glutes are very tight, so it will become a little bit comfortable for them as we're using the blanket. All right. Now from the Dhandasana, we're gonna get into our first asana, which is Paschimottanasana. Paschim is west or the back part of the body, and Uttana is a stretch. So Paschimottanasana, basically we work on the extension of the posterior body from the heels to the buttocks and buttocks to the back of the neck. So the entire posterior body, so the west part of the body, the entire posterior body from the heels to the calf, calf to the glutes, glutes to the trapezius to the back of the neck, nicely gonna extend in the Paschimottanasana. So for that major part, what we have to do, maintaining the extension in the front part of the body, we are not going to collapse our anterior body. If you start to hunching or collapsing our anterior body, it becomes difficult to get the extension, difficult to make the spine taller and longer in a Paschimottanasana. So in order to have the straight back, in order to stretch our each and every vertebra, we have to maintaining that lift in Dhandasana as we are performing like lifting the abdominal region higher. All right, so we're going to work on that. So let's see, we're going to get into the Paschimottanasana. So I want you to be seated in a blanket, or which will really give us to the nice stretch, and also will help us to avoid the roundness on the back when you're sitting on the cushion. So as much we increase the height, which will it will really beneficial for us to get the straight and flat back. All right. So we seated in this position. I want you to from here just take the arms to the side over the head and stretching your arms like a Urdhva Hastasana. So as you take the arms up, see what has tendency, the thighs want to rise up, they want to just go up as you're taking the arms up, but keeping the brain here, strongly pressing the thighs down to the floor in this position. The root of the thigh is strongly pressing down, and stretch from the waistline, from your waistline to the outer armpit, from the outer armpit to the all the way fingertip, nicely extended in this position. Pressing the thighs strongly down and take the arms, longer arms in this position. So fixing the back ribs nicely in this position, opening the chest nicely by stretching the anterior body and pushing the heels forward in this position, extend your legs nicely. Take a breath in here, inhale. So maintain this position for a while, keep pressing the thighs down and nicely lifting the arms high by fixing the back ribs into the body, and make a sharp action, the active sharp action from the waistline to the armpit and armpit to the fingertip, nicely sharply extended up to the fingertip. Inhale here. Now, as you exhale, we slowly bend down, but make sure as we're bending down, we're not collapsing our front part of the body. We're slowly reaching the hands down, and we're going to grab our big toes. So use your first two fingers in this position, index finger, middle finger, and thumb to make a bind. So you grab the big toes tightly around the big toes in this position, and then before to get into the asana, we just straighten your arms here. So here again working the fixing the back ribs into the body. You're fixing the back ribs nicely into the body and lifting from the front part of the body. Raise the sternum higher, raise the sternum up towards the chin. So to expansion on the anterior body, the front on the chest region will start from the bottom, from our abdominal muscles. So we'll try to lift our floating ribs, the false ribs, which is our last ribs, high up to the chest as much you can. All right, and chest moves a little bit up towards the collarbone, and collarbone gets separate in this position. So shoulder moves away from each other, shoulder gets broadened in this position, and trying to fix those ribs into the body, and by working on the anterior part of the body. So trying to stretch from the front part of the body, stay high, lift your chin up. So raise the chin high, lift your chin up, look front, and pull the toes strongly backward by using the arm strength here. So as you're pulling the toes backward, same time you lift from the front part of the body, pressing the root of the thigh strongly on the floor and lifting the belly, the stomach away from the thigh as much possible. So maintain this nice extension in the body by lifting the chin higher. Inhale here. Now, as you exhale, keeping the arms strong, pull the toes towards yourself and lifting from here, and then bend the elbows to the side and slowly bending forward in this position. Just looking front to your toes, which will really help you to keep the back longer. As you start to bringing the head down and start to having the roundness on the back. So we're trying to lift from the sides of the body as much possible. Again and again, I'm mentioning to working on the front part of the body, otherwise it start to having the roundness on the back. So lifting from the front part of the body nicely, and then we're gonna aim, we're not gonna bring the head down first. We're keeping the aim to resting the belly on the thigh, chest over the knees, and bringing the chin close to the shin bone between the calf muscle as much possible. So I want you to lift from here, inhale. As you exhale, push the ribs forward, the belly forward, and chest a little bit forward towards the chin, and bringing the belly or chest over the knees as much possible by using the arm strength to pulling yourself high, but keeping your elbows high in this position. Elbows higher, which will really help us to maintain that sharp extension from the sides of the body, and will really help us to stretch our back and our back of the thighs nicely in this position. So using the arms to pull the spine a little forward as much possible by lifting your elbows higher and pulling, making that extension, nice extension in the posterior body. So once we can rest the belly on the floor, chest on the knee, so we can allowing our head down to the shin bone. If not, we're going to keep the head higher. We're not going to push our head, otherwise it will start to giving us the roundness on the back. So we're keeping our torso high. If you have like a roundness on the back, so keep the head higher, don't push the head down. Keeping the head high, which will really help us to keep the back straight. Elbows high, pushing the elbows strongly by using the arms to fixing the back ribs into the body and make a nice extension in the spine. Just stay there for a bit. Now inhale, slowly head up, back to the starting position, straight back and straight arms. Lift your chin up, look up, longer spine, thighs pressing down. And then inhale, take the arms front and all the way back to center, stretching your arms nicely, longer arms. And then exhale, place the hands down beside of your buttocks on the floor. Exhale, down again. Now we say we're getting a little roundness on the back, and as well as so much space in our underneath the head. So if you try to push the head down, so we get the more big round like a turtle. We're not going to be a turtle in this position. We'll try to stretch our posterior spine nicely. So first, if for example somebody cannot touch the belly on the thigh, we can give them the blanket to fill the space, so which will really make them big difference, which will helping them to soften the abdominal muscles and spread more the back ribs here. So I want you to please come back again, starting position, release the hand. So I have this blanket. I fold the blanket like 3 times, like make a S shape. So I take the blanket, I fold it 1, 2, and like 3 times at least. Make a S shape in this position, as you can see here, the S shape 3 times, more height. So I place the blanket on the groin, on the root of the thigh in this position. So to fill that space between the belly and thigh. So which will really help us to soften the stomach and stretching the back of the abdominal muscles. So I want you again take the arms up, stretch your arms up, longer spine, extend the abdominal muscles here, and then fold forward, longer arms, and then fold forward, fold forward, fold forward, fold forward, and grabbing the big toe in this position. Now grab the big toe again. First lift the stomach away from the blanket in this position, shoulder back, chest high, lift your chin up. Now as you exhale, I want you to press the belly on the blanket first. Bend your elbows strongly, bend the elbows to the side, press the belly on the stomach, the stomach on the blanket. Very good. And then using the arms, like pull the torso a little bit forward in this position as much possibly. Yeah, keeping the neck longer, head relaxed down. You look at your knee, shin bone, and try to make the back of the neck longer. So now in this way, when you're using the blanket, we have a little bit height. We have the support of the belly. So what you're going to do, you're pressing the belly on the blanket and moving the floating ribs a little bit forward away from the blanket as much possible. So which will really help us to make the more space on our lumbar region, to stretching our posterior spine nicely, and will also help us to make the lower back straight. So but still we're getting a little bit roundness on the back. So what you're going to do to avoid that roundness, we're going to keep the elbows higher in this position and then pulling the spine forward, so it will make our back more straight. So for that we're going to use the bolster. So I want you please come back in a standing starting position, release the hand. So now we're going to remove the blanket. Now you see using the bolster on our shin bone. So we'll try to rest the belly on the thigh. Our aim going to be the belly to the thigh, chest to the knee, and the sternum or your chin or your forehead to the shin bone, but without a rounding of the back. So we're dropping them step by step. So belly to the thigh, chest to the knee, and then at the end we'll bring the head down. It's the last option. It's going to be our to resting the head on the floor. So let's try one more time. So I take the bolster, which will help us to keep the elbows high and head higher, so which will help us to make our spine longer. Take the arms up, longer inhale. As you exhale, fold forward and grab the big toe again. So as you catch your big toe again, try to lift again from the anterior body, but shoulder moving back, and you can lift your chin up like as you do the Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Nicely stretch from the abdominal muscles to the chin higher. Yeah, and fixing the back ribs nicely into the body. As you exhale, bend the elbows out, pull the spine nicely longer and resting the head on the bolster in this position. Very good. Stay there for a bit. So as we're using the bolster, we have the less roundness on the back. So I want to use your arms to nicely stretch your sides of the flank. Yes, like that. And you're moving the head a little bit more forward and resting the forehead on the bolster. So, and also pressing the thighs down strongly on the floor, and buttocks pulling backward, stretching backward in this position, and making the spine nice and longer in this position. Elbows moving out, forehead resting on the bolster. So the bolster will really help us to get the deepen stretch on the back of the thighs, and very importantly will help us to elongate our spine, concave our back as much we can. Yes, using the hands to pulling yourself forward and moving the forehead on the center of the bolster as much as possible. So as you can see now, as you're using the bolster, we have more a straight back, much better than the before, and pressing the thighs down and taking the few breath here. Practitioner has to stay in this position 30 to 60 seconds. Inhale, lift your head up back to the starting position, make your arms longer, stretch your arms forward, and then all the way up back to center, longer arms, and then exhale, release your hands down. Dhandasana. Okay, so like this way, using the bolster, as I keep the elbows high, resting the head on the bolster will help us to make our back more longer. But if somebody have the really tight hamstring, cannot go forward, so for that we can use a strap, or for that also we elevate the sitting bone more higher, which is going to be more easier for the practitioner to stretch the hamstring nicely. So for what I'm going to do now, I want you to remove this blanket please, and sitting on the bolster a little bit more height underneath the sitting bone, like a little bit more height. So sitting on the center of the bolster nicely and pressing the thighs down. But the only thing in this position, when we're sitting, as much we lift the buttocks higher. If somebody have the hyperextension knee, they could get a little bit more over stress on the back of the knee. So to reducing the stress, I'm giving her to her back of the knee a blanket here. So the blanket will really help her not to stress her knee so much. A little bit more. Yeah, so I fold a blanket under her knees, so which will supporting her knees in this position. So pull the flesh back again. Yeah, pull the flesh backward again and keep the leg straight. So push the heel forward, and especially working on the anterior legs. So rolling the feet like forward in this position. So now we're going to make a second variation of a Paschimottanasana, where we're going to hook our outer arch of the feet. So as we hook the outer arch of the feet, we're going to pull our legs backward from the outside, which will really help us to stretch, elongate our inner thighs. All right. So once again, now as you inhale, take the arms up, stretch your arms high, longer arms in this position, lift from the sides of the body and pressing the knees and thighs down. As you exhale, fold forward and catch your outer arch of the feet. Here, outer arch of the feet first. Yeah. As you hook the feet in this position, try to open the inner arch of the feet and rolling them nicely forward. And again, lift your spine up, make the spine longer, chest up, and lifting the chin high. As you raise the chin up, try to stretch your chin from the belly. I want you, as you lift your belly up, then lift your chin higher. Yeah, belly up, chin higher, belly up and chin higher. Make the little space here, try to lift the chest and the floating ribs high away from the thigh, first with inhalation. Now you maintain this position. As you exhale, now I want you to just bend the elbows and rest your belly over the thigh. Rest your belly over the thigh, rest your belly over the thigh. Very good. Chest over the knee, chest over the knee, chest over the knee. And bringing the chin down or resting the head or keeping the neck longer in this position, making the spine longer. So not to trying to push the head too much lower. You can keep your head a little higher and just looking down. Yeah, using the arm strength to nicely stretch from the sides of the body. Very good. And pushing the thighs strongly backward, the buttocks rolling backward in this position, making the spine longer. Stay there for a bit. I'm going to assist her a little bit in this position to get more deeper into this position. So I go behind her. I'm going to place my hand on her back ribs here. Inhale. As she exhale, I try to push from here on the back ribs to stretching her back a little bit more in this position and stretching her thighs more intensively in this position in Paschimottanasana. But I want to keep the elbows a little bit higher, which will really help you to keep your chest open in this position. Yeah, like that. And keep moving from the floating ribs from the front part of the body as much possible. Take a few breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Now again, inhale, head up, straight your back, lift your chin up, longer spine in this position. So if somebody is comfortable in this position, we can take the hands front, interlock the finger or hold your wrist from the side, take your hands a little bit more forward. If somebody is practitioner or comfortable here, we hook the wrist from the side to make the more extension of the spine. Inhale again. Now as you exhale, try to bend the elbows outward and side. Keep the elbows a little bit higher and completely fold forward as much possible, but keeping the legs wide open, not to collapsing the inner side of the legs, and make a long back in this position. Perfect, like that. Your head close to the sin board, not pushing the head too much lower. Yeah, make a small space in this position, which will really help us to make the spine longer, and bend the elbows to the side as much possible. Make the space from the sides of the body and stretch your entire posterior back from the heel to the buttocks and buttocks to the back of the neck here. You take a few breaths in this position, pressing the chest strongly and moving the chest towards the knee towards the shin bone as much possible. As you inhale, lift your head up, look front. Take the arms forward, stretch your arms, and then all the way up like a Urdhva Hastasana position. And then exhale, arms down, relax in Dhandasana. Okay, let's see, for example, if somebody having the really stiff thighs and very tight hamstring and very tight glutes, which doesn't allow us to go with the straight back. So in this case, what we can do, instead rounding the back here, so I want you to take the belt. So with the help of the strap, we can refine the posture, we can make it much more better. So I want you to hold this strap from the side and hook it on the center arch of your feet. So as you hook the center arch of the feet, but still first checking if the back is straight or not, if you can lift the chest up. For example, if you still having the roundness on the back, like if somebody is getting the little roundness on this position, so they can walk the hands a little bit more backward in this position. Yeah, here, get more far and try to make this spine longer and longer in this position. Shoulder stay. So trying to stay in this position, chest lifted up, shoulder moving backward and lifting the abdominal high as much possible here. Yeah, lifting from the anterior body, shoulder moving back, flat back and a straight leg. But by the time as you're improving your practice, so you're walking the hands a little bit forward, but without compromising the extension in the abdominal region, the front part of the body. Make sure we don't compress the organs in this position. You make a nice length here and long back. So as you're comfortable, slowly as a practitioner improving the practice, they get closer by the time, by repeating the postures again and again as they improve the flexibility of the hamstring. So as you feel comfortable, you slowly walking the hands. That's how we can make the progress and slowly reaching the hand to the side of the feet. Again, once you get here, stay there for a bit, take a couple of breaths in this position. Or if somebody feeling really very intense, cannot hook the legs, so they can take the strap, stay very far instead to getting closer. But as well as somebody suffering with a back pain, so we can recommend them to practice the asana with a subtle knee bend. So as you bend the knees, could you please bend the knees a little bit, pull the heel backward. So as we bend the knees in this position, it will immediately help us to make our spine straight and will reduce the pressure from the lower back region. So with the bent knees, you can take the arms straight, inhale. As you exhale, bend the elbows to the side, you can still go with the straight back. It really will not help us to rounding our back or stressing our lumbar region so much. So by the time if you're practicing, improving the flexibility on the thigh, improving the flexibility of the back muscles, so you can reaching the hand forward, or you can keeping the legs straight, but trying to make the spine longer as much possible. So for the beginner, we can try with a bend knee by using the strap and working on the more extension of the spine instead to rounding the back. All right, yeah, trying to keep the back straight as much possible. All right, now you can release now.